Good day, Ross Jason Boomlai. I'm doing my brief statement on poverty in Canada in the Comox Valley, Corny, British Columbia, and what I've endured. They've taken down my old website for violations, and this is what I'm redoing really quickly to a new updated version. Today is June the 6th, or the 6th month, 14th day, 2017. Alright, let's view out my, what do you call it? Apartment building. Okay, this is the Comox Valley Record, and it states that it's Tuesday the 13th of June. It has Chantel on the front of it. She was attacked in the park, so you know it's an up-to-date video. Well, human rights, laws, and ethics of the world. The Charter of Human Rights. Everything refers to human rights. Equal before and after the law. Article 25, adequate lifestyle, fair wages, enough wages to live and raise a family of 5 if need be, to own a house, your right to own property, to have DNA, blood family with you and your wife, 50-50 DNA, and so forth. Adequate enough health care so you can get a root canal, not a teeth pull, or ever have to wear dentures, and lose your human dignity because you can't eat, whistle properly without your natural teeth or your hormones in your human body, without being discriminated by the location where you live because you can't afford to live in housing. Social services hasn't jumped up for over 20 years for what they allow for housing, $375. In 1999, when I applied, it was $375 and $179 for food. Well, they denied me. A lady named Judy Williams in the Comox Valley, because they said I had an asset of a piece of property out in Saskatchewan was deemed not an asset a few years later, when I dealt with Claire Stevens, I think his last name was. But they have all that on record. I lived on the street for 2.5 years in the Comox Valley out of a backpack. The backpack weighed about 75 pounds. I'll show you that near the end, the size of it, 90-liter Apex. I carried a tent, a sleeping bag, clothing for a week, a towel to go to a rec center, a little bit of rice, a couple cans of food. I volunteered at the food bank for the first year of living on the street and didn't go near the soup kitchen until the second year. Didn't go near social services either, because they denied me the first time, took my human dignity, and denied me food, the $175 per month. Yep, they fixed my glasses because it cracked. I woke up and the glasses was broken. Gillespie at the time was the MLA and helped me out in that sense of way. Why is adequate lifestyle what it takes to raise a family of 5? Because why? Your wife may not be able to find a job, a living wage. Both need to work and make the exact same to be able to raise a family of 5. You have that much extra money. Housing is way overpriced 100 years ago. Well, we made 2 cents an hour, and in Toronto, a lot was $100. Settlers, according to the Encyclopedia of Canada, was what? $10 for 160 acres, you made 2 cents an hour too. Anywhere out in Rupert's Land, probably. How long did those settlers stay there in 1911? We don't know either. Some did and some didn't. Human rights violations of genocide, psychologically torturing people, what I went through with social services, which they tried to charge me with uttering threat, and 2 years later got thrown out. In that 2 years, from 2005 to 2007 or 8, when I went to court, and Robert Yeo was my lawyer, who said it got thrown out, I started dumpster diving because I was hungry, thinking I was going to jail for a minimum of 2 years, according to the Canadian Criminal Code book in the Department of Justice. I saved up $1,000 plus so I could get a laptop or maybe get a better lawyer. It got thrown out, so I didn't have to spend it on another lawyer and adjourn it. And instead I bought a ViewSonic 32-inch TV from Staples. And a gentleman I knew from ICBC named Don Bueller saw me going to the bus stop and offered to give me a ride home and bring it here. And he also helped at the soup kitchen occasionally, I understand as well. Like I said, human rights, laws, and ethics of people on the street. It isn't fun. Nobody chooses to live on the street in any way. I came back in 1998 in the summer to see my mother as a visit because I was staying with my uncle out in Shirley, BC, which I was on EI at the time. I moved out from Saskatchewan to BC to help him. His house got broken into, and Mom said there was a few jobs up here. Maybe I'll find a job rather than sitting in Shirley, supposedly. I didn't talk to her on the phone. My uncle did. So I said, sure, I'll go up there for a holiday and look for a job at the same time. Had 2 months left on EI, and off I went. Got up here after work for Jeff Thomas on Protection Island with my little brother who did hardwood floors with him for the floor master. And I think he underpaid me too. I think I only got $7 an hour for that labor for the 2 weeks. Came back, gave my mom $300 for food. She came back a few days later, slapped me in the face, started being racist discrimination because I asked her a few questions about family violence as a kid. It wasn't fun. From there, the RCMP on the phone said walk away when I wanted to charge her for assault. Why? I should have showed up, charged her for assault. I went for a walk a few days later, went to Vancouver on the bus, and traveled around with what money I had in my pocket. I jumped on a plane. I had enough to go to Calgary on WestJet, there and back. Tried to contact my dad who adopted us, our stepfather, Dave Quinn Fudlai, but he didn't have the time or day. He was in a business meeting with whatever real estate agency he worked for at the time. Jumped on the plane after about 2 hours, 3 hours of sleeping in the Calgary airport and flew all the way back. I had some cooking knives with me that I was going to give to him because, hey, they were $75 Hankels. Because as a kid, we played with his knives that he had for cooking and put dents in them because my brother and I played swashbuckler with them and smashed, put dents in them. He was quite mad. I was living on the street and nobody should be carrying a 6-inch, 8-inch knife for cooking with them in their backpack. Police might consider it a weapon and whatnot. They put it in a box at the till. They said I had 5 minutes to make it to the plane, and I ran, all on videotape in the Calgary airport. From where they let you in, where the baggage check is, through the x-ray machine, to the plane. With a bag, like a football player, all the way. It's got to be at least a mile, at least. Got to Vancouver, walked around, lived on the street, couldn't handle the power lines, and decided to come to Vancouver Island and come to Courtney again. That's right, about 3 or 4 times on the ferry, seen a couple psychiatrists from the Comox Valley on there, and a few other people as well. As the uttering threats to social services, it wasn't a great thing either. They wanted me to go through a psychological assault, be handed medication, go through anger management, and I had no anger management. They psychologically assaulted me with psychological games. Every time they wanted me to sign a paper, it happened to be on the last day, denying a check over and over again. Kathy just happened to be the person, not Claire this time, and every time you talk to somebody, it's another game. Instead of the middle of the month when you have food in your belly and everything's going good, it's always at the check day when you're waiting to buy your new bag of food because you might not ate properly for the last 3 or 4 days and you're hungry. Restoring human dignity. Years later, the assault started on my life. Sprays and maces that burned the face all around me. I was dumpster diving. Every dumpster had the same thing. Every time you went near them, the chemicals on the things burnt your face. Smell of DEET or whatnot. I didn't bring any garbage home. Didn't destroy the place I lived in because I had dignity. To respect the people who I lived in their building with. I had the landlord spring with free breeze. Got mad at him because it gives you a migraine in a second. It's not fun to chemical war on your body. I've been living in the Washington Studio Apartments now for almost 16 years, as well as about 5 other human beings. BC Housing now has it, and now they're trying to turn it into an institution like. everybody's psychologically deranged, schizophrenic, obese, or an ex-drug addict or some sort. I keep to myself as much as I can, but we have a few assholes around here, or pathetic actors who try to assault you in another way. Pushing, hitting, acting, yelling and screaming in hallways in late hours of the night, like 3 a.m. or 1 o'clock a.m., or breaking of windows, never knowing what's an act and what's not. We haven't had drug dealers around here since probably 2005, since Randy Hart was the manager of the building, to the fact that they jacked up the rent from $350 to $550 to $750 in some cases. When I'm looking that way, I'm looking out the window. CCHR talks about mental health Declaration of Human Rights to being assaulted with psychiatric drugs and how a doctor and hospital systems are supposed to look at you as well. The violations, what I went through within psychiatric evaluation too. Assaulted with this mace that burnt my face, and the last person that shows up is the RCMP. When you tell them about an assault, they didn't want to do nothing. Then they haul you off to a hospital where you think you might get some fair treatment and no detainment, and they throw you in a detainment and assault you with their ignorance. Medications in the water, force an injection on you, mislead you, harm you, and not tell you what the medication or any treatment, what they're trying to do to you. Give you psychiatric drugs even before they tell you what they are. A lethal injection, a capital punishment. Sterilizing and chemical lobotomizing you so you can't function in society to protect yourself with self-defense anymore. A complete assault being a impoverished person in Canada. You can't find a job because you don't have the education, the clothes, and the food in your belly and your cupboards to go to work for 2 weeks before your first paycheck. That's right. You don't want to keep doing a minimum wage job that gets strung along. Never see any bonuses or purpose to keep going. And every time you turn around, it's another dead-end job and another dead-end job. You want a future like you were taught in school. From K to 12, anything's possible. Money's discrimination because, hey, without it, you have nothing. You can't live on a inside or outside. You're always moving around. It's not freedom to live out of your backpack and not have bills or anything like that. That's an assault to a human being that was taught that we have this beautiful nation to live in, and that we have all this freedom around here, and that we live in a wealthy country. Yeah, foreign aid says we give something like $3 billion away to all these other countries. Even China, which buys our oil from us, and our natural gas, which doesn't make sense. And the long and short of it, we're just being discriminated in a genocide. We don't choose to be impoverished. We don't choose to sit around. Yep, some people get their paychecks and go get drugs and alcohol, but hey, that's their only freedom. They don't see no point to work maybe because they're being so discriminated against. Their human dignity is being taken away and their satisfaction of trying to do something. When they're young and able at 19 or 18 or 17 to go to get a job and work and feel good about themselves, people decided to assault them. Everybody wants to be a government communist worker and get full-time labor. Not privatization that doesn't work because they can never get a job. They can't get the business license or the education to hold the business license or the tools and means to do so. That's right. Discrimination. Actors running privatization that work for the government assaulting the poverty that don't have the education that get strung along on minimum wage to an apprenticeship program that they can never get any higher than what somebody else allows. They don't have the money for a driver's license, they can't go get a driver's license. They can't get a PAL/FAC. They can't take a swim course to learn how to teach swimming to make more money or anything else like that. If they don't get offered the free food safe, first aid, and CPR level C, then they can't have that for an insight into a job working on construction sites or this, or pre-work programs like basic tools like you take in high school and shop classes, or consumer education, what a contract is, basic law, and all this other kind of stuff. Yeah, work experience, 1 week free labor, or paid lunches, a minimum standard that they get job placement with the minimum wage when they're working, so they got enough money in their food, in their bellies to eat And at the end, they're not slaves. They don't volunteer. You pay them the wage, but it's work experience. A guaranteed work in a business to learn the basics. Stocking shelves, hangers, talking to people on the phones, stocking shelves, like I said, cleanup, vacuuming, what it takes to know the basics to work in retail shops as food or clothing, or an industrial aspect of what a general labor needs to know. Yeah, they all need steel-toed boots, Cartwright or pair of blue jeans for work, t-shirts to work per day, and so forth. Proper safety gear as well. To beat poverty, it's hard to get out of the rut's too big and the discrimination of people saying, oh, you're blaming everybody, that you can't do this and you can't do that. It's not blaming anybody. It's the absolute truth. Till you were assaulted in life, you'll never know. To assault a police officer, it's 14 years. No difference in assaulting anybody else. Or Justin Bork for assaulting people, for shooting them. Doesn't he get off too, if a police officer should? It doesn't make sense. That's just a figure of speech. Murder, eh? Manslaughter, malpractice, all the same thing. Knowing what causes bodily harm. Intending to harm somebody, knowingly. Guilt by association or premeditated assault, like robbing the bank. Taking somebody's human dignity and controlling their lives in human trafficking. Turning a blind eye knowing your wages aren't enough to live by. Article 25, Human Rights. That's right, assaulting somebody's state of mind for their 65 years, or let's say 0 to 150 or 300 years, whatever it may be. Controlling what and what not they can have in life. Knowing what monies they make per month, per year, and what asset levels they have by all the registrations that go along. Taking away the rights of play, expression, exercise, / fitness, health, the right of a family by sterilizing them, the right of freedom of speech and thought, chemical lobotomizing them, assaulting them so they don't want to speak up anymore. They stutter because they're psychologically assaulted or agitated by certain words projected at them at certain times. Uttering threats, making someone feel fear, anger, pushed towards somebody by words or gestures as well. Acts of genocide. Running them away from their cities where they can't find jobs because their families might not wanted to move, or they lived there too long and you're trying to run them, just like from another country, a refugee from one city to another city, because they can't find adequate jobs and keep getting assaulted in the areas that they were. Why People Go Postal by Billy the Kid. An assassination to human beings. Premeditated over a long period of time. Yep, you let them in the door, you show them what life is for, let's say, 6 months, then you take hour by hour away from them until they have nothing. Now they have nothing in life. Now they're on social services and they lost everything they had because they can't fit in society, can't find a job. They're not eating proper. Now they're digging in a dumpster. Oh, they just found a job. They work for 3 weeks. Now they can't get their money from, they're in the labor board. Now the labor board can't get their money because your actor wasn't reparable enough. He didn't have a business license properly because he didn't have a bank account with all the labor in it to prove that he can hire all these people per year. Assaulting somebody psychologically by saying and misleading them, oh, I can hire you, I got the money to do so, and in 2 weeks not have it. That's a premeditated assault. Because at the time you hired them, you knew you could pay them, and afterwards you don't have the money. That's a premeditated assault, like robbing the bank. Just like in family violence, you go to your kid's bank account because they're working as children, and you steal their money. Now they're child slaveries. You shouldn't be taking money out of your kid's pocket. It's your job by the Canadian laws to raise your child till they're 19. If they can't find a job after that because they're disabled or unable, you're supposed to pay for it. But social assistance kicks in and gives you food money if you're living at home. If you're living on your own, they pay the full sum sometimes. Till you move up the ladder like me, you start out the small and you become CPP disability. It's not climbing the ladder, it's an assault the whole time because you're trying to get a job. You're not choosing to live like that because you can't find the job because of discrimination. That's right. Every time you turn around, it's another assault and another assault and another assault. And there's nothing you can do because you're trying to get out of it. You're trying to find a job. You apply for the military. You apply for volunteer auxiliary police, volunteer firefighter, volunteer this, this, and this that doesn't pay, but you need an adequate lifestyle to live in society to fit in. Yeah. Does it help? No. Because you need your dignity. You need 3 meals a day, just like prisoners' rights. But you don't get that on social services. You don't get that down jacket if it's minus 50. You don't get the proper winter boots. You don't get rubber boots or rain gear, an umbrella. You don't get a nice clean bed to sleep in. I slept on the floor for 8 years. I had to dig into the dumpster till 2010, then bought a futon. Then that got wrecked, and then I slept on the floor again. Then in 2013, 14, then I got another bed again because a family member was trying to assault me again in life and do another psychological assault. So I'd be forced on meds all over again because she's helping social services in the police department in the Comox Valley, the RCMP. And that's my diagnosis. And then we looked at invega side effects, which is in another video of mine in another station. A human right violation of genocide as well, sterilizing, spading somebody, taking away the testosterone hormone, and adding estrogen into your body, coprolactin, so you get gynecomasculine and so forth, which there's many lawsuits on invega. Yeah, things that lead to diabetes too, that low testosterone kills you. You can look on Duffy Medical on that one. Under family violence of the Canadian government, the Department of Justice. You can look on their website. It's right on the front. J&H pays out $70 million landmark Risperdal, Invega, Peroxidone, and Abilify, psychiatric drugs that lead to gynecomascular breasts on males. Oh, animal cruelty. A cow needs at least 2 to 4 acres of grazing lands. Wow. A person's entitled to a 15 by 26 foot room for $550 a month or $350 when I started. Inadequate. I need a bedroom and a living room and a storeroom and a bathroom and a kitchen and a place for a table so I can socialize and have people over without sitting on my bed. Clean environment, not being psychologically harmed or abused by other people around you as an actor, assaulting other poverty. Strata title rules, spraying of deodorants in the hallways. Like I said, losing the T drug or T hormone in the body, testosterone, in a male causes them to become transgender because it's a testosterone inhibitor called Invega or any type of psychiatric drug. Children being assaulted and later on being told that they're gay or transgender. An assault of genocide to the male species when we're outnumbered 7 to 1. Sorry if I'm rambling on. Like I said, Invega Sustina for schizophrenic. What's the definition of schizophrenic? It isn't a sexual predator to take away the hormone testosterone so they're not sexually able to have it anymore. Equal rights of a human being. Wicked. Look under equal before and after the law. No person should be begging in the streets, living under bridges, or begging for a loaf of bread. Women's and men's rights, which such rights are held in common of both males and females, or any gender otherwise. Drugs like HCG that prove that males and females' hormones are being turned off so they can't breed. Human choreograph, and I can't say the word, but you can Google the word HCG. Hopefully you can read that. HCG. Proving hormones being turned off, like I said, on humanity. You can look under that same thing under testosterone, cypionate, decanate, enanthate for hormone replacements necessary for males and females alike. Hormones for testosterone usually aren't put into women, they're made for men only, unless they're turning into a male. Like I said, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights for poverty and homeless people, and Convention of Genocide by the definition of the United Nations. You can Google that as well. This is my quick speech on poverty in Canada. We, as poverty, do not choose to live on the street. Like I said, assaulted by family members, unions, and groups, so you can't find an adequate life. Article 25, family violence and discrimination, which falls under Canadian Criminal Code Book. And according to the Dietitians of Canada, the leading cause of mental health is lack of nutrition. After so many years of assaulting somebody in poverty, they set in with the psychological assaults and abuse, intending to harm somebody knowingly by the Canadian Criminal Code Book. By Article 25, 1 to 30, denying adequate housing, food, shelter, clothing, and an education. When K to 12 is not good enough to live in this society, our human rights of the Charter of Human Rights of Canada. Stripping hormones and causing a genocide of males, which is outnumbered 7 to 1. If you watched it, thank you very much. I'm signing off. This is Ross Jason Boehm Live on June the 14th, 2017. And that's right, Justin Trudeau and all the ministries of Canada, from province to province to province. Poverty is only poverty because somebody chooses to make them live like that. You said in your campaign speech, Justin Trudeau, to help out poverty, middle class, low class, and whatnot. Under family violence and the definition of foreign aid 2012, if you look at the money you gave out, there's money to help the poverty, re-educate them, and get them jobs. In the Comox Valley, we could use 500 acres of greenhouses and have 1,000 job plus all year round in shipping excuse me, vegetables and other plants around the world, or in Canada at least. Jobs that people can do that don't have diseases or bacteria on them, and that don't harm other human beings. Sustainable jobs. It doesn't snow or freeze and the greenhouses would be ineffective. As well as chicken farms, turkey farms, lambs and sheeps. Might not have the grazing grounds for cows or buffalo around here as well, but fowl we might. As I said, in your campaign speech, you said to help out poverty, as you did in the United Nations, Justin Trudeau and the Canadian government, from province to province to province. Clark said she just helped us out with a $50 raise. She didn't. She's got to boost it up to whatever the rent costs are in whatever city in British Columbia, and that goes for every province as well. Paying directly to the landlord, and the full food supplement. Basic internet and phone line as well, because it's a TV program, and that's all it is, a two-way conversation. Fax machine and whatnot. All it is a Morse code machine that deciphers the dee-dee-dee-dee instead of the beep-beep-beep. It's a bunch of letters on a keyboard. And the phone, hey, if you fall down and you're living by yourself, you have to phone 911. Like I said, Ross Jason Boehm Live in Courtenay, British Columbia, on why people are living on social services and how hard it is and why it's a human right violation and a Charter of Human Rights and Freedom, and violating laws and ethics of Canada. Dignity, having your teeth, having proper health care, dental care, and nutrition as well. Children in poverty that need food and nutrition, and to be physically fit. mandatory physical education class so they can take after school free programs in sports to better our Olympic program as well if it gets that far. So you have a broader choice of people, not by discrimination of a dollar bill, but they still have to buy their own shorts and t-shirts and running shoes. That doesn't get supplied like a uniform. But they get the free basketball, volleyball, cross country, track and field, swim classes, swim team, working out in the gym, and adults do too. Instead of paying $2 on the bus, they get on for free too. It's just an extension of the infrastructure taxes, of house taxes. Education, physical education is sports afterwards. Every sports program they join gets put on their physical education as another sport taken. They learn the basics, get their cardiovascular, and know the basics, like I said, in school and so forth. Music classes, maybe after school too, and all classes turn into a 2-hour program. Why not? Takes that much to get to class, that much to set up for class, and have a shower maybe afterwards or not. Most games take an hour to play: a soccer game, basketball game, floor hockey game, or a volleyball game. Even to go for a 3-kilometer run in 15 or 20 minutes, hypothetically, maybe a little faster if you're a cross-country runner, a 3,000-meter runner, or a 10,000-meter runner in track and field. Thanks for listening. Again, Ross Jason Bohmlai, talking from the Comox Valley, Courtney, British Columbia, from Washington Studio and